demonstrator here in Canada. Today is Wednesday, my weekly live. I've recently moved from Facebook over to YouTube, so if you're new to watching, welcome. Say hi, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. This week, so last week I made some cards, which I always make 3 cards. Not always, but I do 3 things. And so I made 3 cards, and 2 of them were odd sizes. So I said last time that I would figure out how to make, I have a envelope punch board from long ago, way back in the day when Stampin' Up! Had it. And I usually cheat and use that, but I wanted to figure out how to make envelopes of any size without a tool. So I've come up with a formula that you can use to make any size envelope. Now keep in mind, if your envelope is larger than a certain size, or sometimes when they're wonky sizes, you end up paying more in postage. So if you're mailing it, just keep that in mind. You might want to check wherever you are what your restrictions are for mailing. But just in terms of having an envelope for your card, this will allow you to do that. So that is what I'm doing today. I have been talking about the virtual album retreat that is coming up in July, that if you purchase the kit, you get this 3-day retreat through Stampin' Up! I just got my kit yesterday, so at the end of the live, I will pull it out and show it to you in case you are waffling or interested in seeing what all it contains and what it involves. Yeah, so, and if you're watching the replay, let me know you're watching. If you have questions, you're free to ask questions, and I usually check and try to answer them. If you like my videos, hit the like, hit the subscribe, helps me out. Let's grow our community. All right, so I'm gonna turn you around and hopefully not stick. I see the way I have this set now, the button. I stick my hand in it every time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, I can't do it without sticking my hand in there. I'll have to figure out a way. All right. For a smoother transition. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that's zoomed in enough and I haven't made you too seasick. Let me pull out. So this was one of the cards I made last week. It is the standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. So what I wanted to do with this one was I just wanted to show you how you could customize and kind of up your game in terms of regular envelopes. So this is just our regular white medium envelope. I had used a piece of designer series paper in the background, and this is what was left over. It is 2 inches wide, and it just, I mean, it's very tight at 2 inches, but it is just enough to cover that back side of the envelope. So what I like to do is I take my multi-purpose glue, pull off the goop, and I usually put my glue on the envelope directly instead of on the paper, because then you know that you're not going to have it hanging off, and when you go to cut it, then you're not dealing with goopy glue. And you just want to line it up with the score line. And we'll let that dry, and then we'll trim it. And then the other thing you can do is, if you really want it to match, you can come in with your stamp. I'm using the same one that I had, and I'm going to do it in the Secret C, so it's even more matchy-matchy. You could just do it in black, but You don't want to take up too much space because you need room for the address and stamp and everything else. But there, I've got my flowers in the corner, and then it looks like a perfect match. So I don't know. Are you a person who decorates your envelopes? I have been trying to decorate it at the same time that I make the card, because otherwise I feel like I'm rushing at the last minute because I need a card, and then you don't have time to go find the matching set, or you don't remember, or whatever. And I just find it easier. So it's super easy to trim. So you've got your matching edge there, and then you've got the matching flowers. So that's just a super quick, easy way when you have a card of standard size. Now, my other card was a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card, not standard at all. So then I was, how do I do this so that it can apply to any size card? And it was funny because it just so happened that on the weekend, on Saturday, Stampin' Up! Had an event for demonstrators where we made an odd size card and an envelope, and I liked the way the envelope was made, and so I used that kind of as my template, and then I figured out how to break it down into a formula that you can apply to any size of your card. So I've already formulated this piece, but it is, so for a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card, I've got a 5 1/2 by 9 3/4 size designer series paper. And it's, you're probably gonna wonder what this paper is. It is a sneak peek of a paper that will be coming out in the mini catalog, I believe. I don't think it's an online exclusive. It was product that we got to play with on the weekend, and I just thought that this side is not too far off, and this side was really good. So just in terms of designer series paper, that's what I went with. So now, how did I figure out that this is the size I needed? So what I have discovered is that if you take your envelope, in this case it's a square, so it'll be the same. So your envelope width, which is 4 1/4, you add 1 inch, and then you add 1/4 of an inch. And as I start folding this, it'll make sense to you, and I'll kind of break it down. And then, so if you had a different height, you would do, again, the 1 1/4 plus the height plus the height. So 2 times the height plus 1 1/4. Now you'll see, and I'm going to do this for 2 different cards, so it'll make sense as we go. And then on the long side, you're always going to do a 1/2 inch on both sides. So you're going to come in and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on one, flip it around 180 degrees, and then you're going to go a 1/2 inch. Hi, Yolande. A 1/2 inch on the other side. How are you? I thought I was going to be late today, so I had set it for 1 o'clock, which I know is when you go live. I was supposed to take Aspen to the vet for a CT scan, and I was there this morning for chiropractor for her, and as they're giving her treats, I clued in that I forgot to tell my husband not to feed her in the morning, and so I had to reschedule because she had eaten. So the joys of having a brain that just doesn't work. Oh man, luckily they were able to reschedule for tomorrow. All right, so we've got 1/2 inch on each side. And so I consider this the long side. Now if we go to the wider, shorter side, we have to figure out where to put our score lines. So for the first score line, what it is you take your height minus 1 1/4 inches. So we have a 4 1/4 inch card. We're gonna minus 1 1/4, so we're gonna score at 3 inches. So I apologize if you don't like math, pull out your calculator and, and fractions and whatever else. And then, so for your next score line, you're gonna take, now this is like the total. So you're gonna take the height minus 1 1/4. So just like before, so because you're taking away this, so basically 3 inches. So you take 3 inches plus the height. So you're adding 4 1/4 to it, right? Because you want your card to fit, but it's 4 1/4. So you need to add another quarter to that. So we've got 3 inches plus 4 1/4, which is 7 1/4. Wait, I feel like I'm going the right way. So we're at 7 1/4, and then we add that extra 1/4 inch so that it fits, which gets us to 7 1/2. So then I'm gonna move it over. Sorry, you probably can't even see that. I'm gonna move it over to 7 1/2, and then I'm gonna score it there. Okay, so that is basically my envelope for the 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I just have to put it together. So I'm gonna crease the score lines just so that you can hopefully see them better. So there's my 1/2 inch. My other 1/2 inch. And then, so we've got all our score lines scored. Then all you have to do is you want to cut off the 4 little end rectangles. And you're gonna just, well, I don't want to confuse you right away, but so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cut slightly to the inside, I don't know if you can see that, of the score line on the long side. So on all 4, I'm just cutting just inside of the score line, so towards the middle. And then for the ends, I'm going to taper it, not a lot, just very slightly, a very slight taper. And if it's easier for you to cut the one way, then flip it over. I can see better on this side, so I'm just gonna hope that it's not as natural cutting on that side, but that's okay. And then this one, you don't really have to taper, but I'm just gonna, oh so slightly. Oh, so slight. Okay. And I played with this a bunch with different size cards, and it works like a charm every time. So then you're just gonna fold. So the 2 flaps, so you've got one slightly wider flap and one slightly narrower. The bigger flap is the bottom, and I can see it's already curling, so I didn't cut to the inside as much as I probably should have. I'm just gonna taper this just a wee bit so it's not hitting it. And then for this, the top part, so the smaller end, you can taper these tabs. So they're, because that's where you're gonna slide your card in and out. So you've got those, and then you wanna seal this down. So you can use glue or you can use tear and tape. I would suggest putting your glue on to this side. So again, your glue isn't gonna go over onto where your card is gonna be trying to go in and out. You could use tear and tape. Hello, Linda, back in Arizona. All right, so you can see that we've got our envelope, and here's the true test. Actually, I better put it so that it's facing up. And it just, too many layers on this one. Slides in like so and fits perfectly. You could round the edges, or even if you have a punch that does like the fancier edges, you can make your edges however you would like. But this is just a super simple way to make an envelope fit any one of your cards. I find designer series paper works better than, I can't say better, it's easier. I tend not to use cardstock to make my envelopes just because it's thicker, and then everything is that much more bulky. So I like the designer series paper to do the envelopes. So that is that one. So now the other card I had done last week, actually, I don't think I completed it. My original that I showed was regular size, but it kind of, the way this frame is, I wanted to have an even frame around it, which then left me with a non-standard size card. So this time my card is 4.5. So normally it's 4.25, and this is 6.25 instead of 5.5. So it's quite a bit taller. So now if we take our formula, so this, and if you're wondering, this size is an A6. If anyone ever talks about card sizes, there are some standard card sizes for different areas of the world, I guess. And A6 is that 4.5 by 6.25. Not that that really matters. All right, so I've got my 12 by 12 DSP here. This is again another piece of the one that we were playing with on the weekend. I can't even think what the name, it was Peaceful something. Linda, do you remember? Anyways, you'll see it. It's gonna be coming out in the fall. So, okay, our card is 4.5 by 6.25. So for the let's call this, we'll see, now I've got my width and my height on funny because I'm calling this the width, so pretend it's this way. So you're gonna do 1/4 plus 1 inch plus the 6.25. So the whole reason, like if you think about it, where's my other envelope? So we're trying to figure out this width, right? So, am I right? Yes. No. Hang on. I'm going crazy. How does that end up working? Maybe I didn't do that one right. I thought I did. I thought I did a sample for it. Oh, because it's sliding in this way. That's why this is considered the width. Got it. So we are figuring out this width. So you've got the the 6.25, and then you want to add 1/4 so that it fits, and then you're adding another inch because you need a 1/2 inch on either side. So 1/2 inch plus 1/2 inch is 1 inch, plus your 1/4 for wiggle room, and then your 6.25. So then you want it at 7.5. So you're gonna be cutting a 7.5. So I'm trying to give you the behind the why of the formula so that when you're trying to figure out what's your width and what's your height, hopefully it makes sense. Okay, and so then this way we've got, so your envelope's gonna be this way. So now you've got the 4.5 to deal with, and you want it to close plus some on the 4.5. So you've got 4.5 plus 4.5, and then you've got you want another 1/4 of an inch for where it's sitting, right, for wiggle room. And then you need another inch because you want an extra 1/2 inch extra, I guess, is so that it overlaps, because you don't want it to just butt up. You want it to overlap. So if you take your 4.5 plus 4.5, which is 9, and then you add the 1 1/4, you're at 10 1/4. So we're going to cut it at 10 1/4. And then we've got our basic shape. Then we move the blade out of the way, and once again, we're going to do a 1/2 inch. And a 1/2 inch. Okay, and then when we go this way, we have to do the old 4.5 minus 1 1/4. So that gives us 3 1/4 that we're scoring it at. And then we have the 3 1/4 plus 4.5, which is 7 3/4, plus another 1/4, so we're at 8. So we're going to take it over to 8. Can you see that, or am I off the screen again? Over to the 8. And we're going to slide it there. So once I fold this, hopefully you'll be able to see it better. And it just so happened that these colors, this one isn't perfect, but you know, it worked, because these designer series papers were 6 by 6, so they weren't big enough to make my envelopes. So I had to find another option is to use like the Willow White 12 by 12, or the not two-tone. I think the Willow White is the thinnest of the white cardstocks in the 12 by 12. So you could always use that for your envelope, and then you can either stamp it, Wonder Brush it, do some kind of wash on it, whatever works. So I'm going to do the exact same thing again. I'm going to cut on the inside of my score line on all 4. Then we're going to taper this down. Just a very slight. I mean, you could do more if you want it to be kind of part of the design. I just like a very subtle. It's more for functionality than it is for looks, I guess, when it's done this way. So again, I've got my 2, and so what you don't want to forget is to taper those 2 top edges to make it easier to slide your card in and out. I don't know if you guys are hearing that rumbling in the background. I have the dryer and the washing machine going, so hopefully it's not too loud. Let me know if you hear like a loud going on, and I'll make sure not to run the dryer when I do my lives. All right, so then once again, I'm just going to come and make sure you're not going across with the glue, right? Because you want your card to slide in. And again, you could use tear and tape if you really don't like glue and are worried it's gonna spill over onto the inside and start sticking and making a mess. You can totally do that. And then I'll just let it dry. I'm gonna try and find, I forgot to think to pull out a decorative edge, and I'm just trying to think. I know we have So this is an older punch, but if we put this in like so, then you can have your decorative. Now, if I remember right, you don't want to go the same because then it'll be opposite. So you want to flip this over if you're using this kind of punch so that it then ends up the same way. So now I have a decorative edge on my envelope, and it's the same on both sides. Otherwise, I've done it before and then you end up with this arched part on top, like it's just reversed. Okay, the moment of truth. Fits perfectly. So for the exact same formula, it works for a square card, it works for a rectangular card, and that is how you can make your matching cards. Envelopes, I should say. And then in the beginning, the decorated ready-made envelope. That's it. Quick and easy. It's a quick live today. I am away next week, so there won't be a live. I get back the day before the next Wednesday, and I'm not sure if I'm not sure if there'll be a live or not. I'll let you know. I might be a little jet lagged. We'll see, or just tired. But if I have some, oh, I was gonna show you I almost forgot. Let me show you the kit that came so you can see what this whole virtual retreat thing is all about. So I kind of, everything comes bagged in pieces and parts. Oh, I'm glad that working out the math. I had to work it out again in my, like it doesn't stick, but yeah. Oh, I'm glad that made sense. Okay, so you've got some twine, you've got your picture holder pieces. I think that's all that this is. You've got flip-flops. They're gonna show us how to, I have watched other scrapbooking demonstrators and they always put them on the outside of their page protectors, but they're gonna show us how to like make slits so that it comes through and does it. A little more interactive, so that's going to be cool. You've got some embellishments, and then it comes with 4. I had the empty cases, so I have already put them in the case, but it comes as 4 stamp sets, and they give you the paper to put in a case if you have the cases. So we've got the alphabet and the fun labels / shapes, and you have numbers as well, which is perfect for scrapbooking. Thank you, Yolande. Yes, it's gonna be hot. I'm a little worried about the heat, but and then you've got 2 more with some fun shapes, and then all the kind of not months, but your winter, spring, and that kind of stuff. So good for the month by month. It comes with all the page protectors. It does not come with an album, but it has all the page protectors you need for the 12 2-page layouts. And then it's got cutouts with all the, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? It has all the cutout months. So if you want to use the months, you can. I'm not sure if I'm going to go month by month, but it's there. And then there's some, these are like embossed. It's almost like they've embossed it with clear embossing powder. So I think we're going to do some coloring, blender brushing. There's 2 with the sunshine bursts, and then there's 1 with some leaves. And then there's some I don't know why this is loose. That's kind of strange. These are cutouts, but I don't know why these ones aren't in a baggie. I don't know if they were supposed to be in here with this or what. These are more cutouts. And then we've got, I think we've got 12 kits that are labeled. So like project 1. So you can see everything is cut out, ready to go. All we're gonna do is assemble. So if you've ever thought about scrapbooking, but don't know where to start, or don't have the time, or, this is the perfect way to get a full year done very quickly. So there's gonna be techniques taught. There's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I waffled because I was like, oh, I don't know if I want it month by month. And I always say I want to just do my own thing. But I think I recognize this designer series paper. But yeah, it's all here and cut and ready to go. And sometimes it's a little too florally. I'm surprised these are all the same floral patterns, but there's a few months where they're all the same. And then we've got some geometric kind of, ooh, this one's cool. So yeah, and they're just gonna walk us through. It's gonna be on a private Facebook group. So if you purchase the kit, you automatically will have access to the Facebook group. And so it's July 16th to the 18th, I believe. Oh, you missed the envelope. You'll have to watch the replay. But you don't have to be there for it because you can just watch it and go at your own pace at any time. And then we have the more Christmassy, wintry one. So that's all what comes in your kit. All prepped, ready to go. All you have to do is sit back, and there is a list of items that you should have, extra, like blender brushes and inks and whatever. And so I'm not sure if they send it to you or if they list it, but if you're looking for it, I can, and you've bought the kit, I can always send you the extra pieces and parts that you're gonna need. You can always change it up too. You don't have to use everything that they say, but yeah, that is, it's a big kit. It's a big project, and I think it'll be fun. So hopefully you'll join me and we can, I was trying to contemplate, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be here for those dates. Otherwise I thought we could do like an in-person something and everybody brings their kits. As I drop everything in the garbage. Don't want to lose those. All right, well, hopefully that helps and you now know how to make envelopes, and so you'll get creative with your card making and make some not standard size cards, and you won't feel limited to standard size cards because you know you can make an envelope very simply and easily to match, and easy peasy. All right, well, hopefully you have a great rest of your week, have a great couple weeks, and I will see you guys when I'm back. All right, have a great couple weeks. Bye.